Okay, hold on. Can we just
Yeah.
bar that for a
Yeah,
second?
yeah.
And
I know where you're gonna go.
Can you just quickly tell the audience your love?
Yeah.
Just expand on your love for film.
So what Clack's talking about is... Let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Do You Podcast, where I am inviting guests onto this series to talk about where they are, but more importantly, how they have gotten to where they are. And today's guest is a very special friend of mine, Stu Watts, aka The Burger. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so
Thanks
much
for having me.
Mate, it's an absolute
Good to be on the other side of the mic this time.
It's
the interviewee.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad that I'm allowed to pick apart your brain and
I can't wait.
get to know even more about you. I don't think there's more that I can get to know about you.
There's always more.
That's true. But I guess he kept his daughter for how long? How long didn't you let me know? Oh, the whole time.
The whole time.
The whole time Deb was pregnant with her second one. Do you mind me telling this?
Fine.
Okay. Yeah. I always.
He was guessing.
I was trying to guess.
He was guessing, and I just was giving him nothing.
I was right. That's right.
You were right.
Anyway, I know you very well, but please tell the audience what you're doing, where you are, a little bit of a backstory.
Sure. Well, I am a music producer. I work on rock and pop music. That's where my passion lies. And I'm also a podcast host of a podcast called What's That Sound? It's based around interviewing engineers and producers from Australia. And that's what I currently do. They're my two main focuses. And I'm a family man. I've got 2 kids, a beautiful wife. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, where do we want to start? Because there is so much in your history, from the bands you've played in, how you've gotten to where you are in the music industry. Where do you want to start? Where would you say the best point of your existence?
Best point of my existence? Man, I don't know, but I guess, if we're talking music's kind of always been a thing for me. I loved it forever. Like I was playing on a little Casio keyboard when I was 6 years old, and making up songs. I remember specifically turning like a little poem book, some story that you have when you're a kid, and playing the demo like rap song on the keyboard and rapping the book when I was like 6 years old. So that, it's just always been there for me, music. And and then I, played instruments. I started playing drums and guitar as a teenager. Got my first drum kit when I think it was 13. It was, year 8 Christmas. My parents got me a drum kit. Got a guitar shortly after that, and been playing drums and guitar for that long, and playing in bands since I was about 14. I started playing with Matty Zoe, good friend of ours.
Love Matty Zoe, halfway through his book.
Shout out. We started jamming together in my garage. He had a little like tiny 20-watt amp or something that he would bring, and I'd have my drum kit in garage, and we would make a lot of noise, piss off the neighbours. And
as you do.
Yeah, it was good times. So that's kind of where it all started.
Because, so I guess I think what I love, like listening to musicians, how they've come up, is that integration of like creating music. So that creativity, where we are now, has stemmed from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The development of the music career over the years, how did it intertwine, I guess, with growing up? What did you do on the side? University?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I was playing in bands since I was a teenager, and that was where like the intense love for music started. Like jamming with Matty, and then eventually playing in bands with him, and getting our first gigs, and playing with some of our favorite bands at the time and stuff like that. Like they were pivotal moments in my life that you can point to and you can go, that was like, nothing was better than that. Like, those moments in your life where you're like, there's nothing better. Like, I love this so much. It was that. It was like landing a gig with one of our favorite Melbourne bands at the time, a band called For Amusement Only. that was a dream. We were like, how? We were losing our minds. It was like we were playing with Green Day or something. It was crazy. So that's where the intense passion and love for it started. And I did study a little bit of music in high school, but it didn't kind of work. I mean, the teachers were shit and the syllabus and stuff wasn't exactly kind of in alignment. I just wanted to play punk music. Like I just wanted to rock out and play, live and stuff. And that wasn't, it didn't hit that, like my school, like learning. So it didn't really connect at that point, even as much as I finished that course in year 11. Like I actually did it in year 10 and 11 as like you could take classes earlier if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's one of those. But even after high school, I went into photography first year out of high school, and then I did media studies at uni.
So hold on, with the photography,
Yeah.
you went out and did it with
Photography course.
like a TAFE course?
Yeah, it was a TAFE course, I think. It was like a diploma, but I failed miserably. There was 13 units and I only just passed 5 of them, and most of them were either music or film related. Like they weren't even, I just didn't care to execute on the photography classes. And it's even weirder that after that, I went to a uni to study media studies, it had photography, animation, and filmmaking in it. And I was like, because I love film, I love movies and stuff like that.
Okay, hold on. Can we just
Yeah.
that for a second? And can you just quickly tell the audience your love?
Yeah.
Just expand on your love for film.
So what Clack's talking about is I have an IMDb rating list that is like 1,500 movies strong. I rate every movie that I watch. I just love analytics of my life. You know what I mean? Like I love... what I wish that existed is like an app that could tell you the stats of your life, like how many hours you've spent doing shit. That'll happen. Like that'll be a thing. Yeah.
Somehow it's going to integrate in
It'll be a thing.
Elon's chip.
Yeah, it'll be a thing. And I can't wait for it. I love that shit. I love like knowing what I've done in the past. There's something about it that I just like, I'm fascinated by.
It helps you dictate the future.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Somewhat. Yeah. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I love knowing that I've seen all these movies and that I've rated them and I can look at it and go, oh yeah, that's right. And sometimes when you see a movie the second time around, you look at your rating like, that's way off. Like, what was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I loved it way more than I loved it the second time. So that stuff like that interests me. I'm a nerd about that shit. So yeah, so that's funny that I did that second year out. And then the third year, I was working, can't remember where I was working, but then I only did music industry skills part-time for that third year. And then the year after that is when I actually started my full-time TAFE course of music industry skills, which was a 2-year course, and then I graduated. So it was like 5 years out of high school that I finally graduated something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so funny.
Okay, so after graduation, then where did you direct the ship?
Well, there was another pivotal moment at TAFE was meeting Trav.
Yep.
You know Trav?
Yep.
Trav, love you, Trav. Shout out to you. And we started a band called The Spin Set in late 2010. And we just connected over like the exact same, pretty much the exact same music, and a love of like understanding production and music and engineering and stuff like that. Like we just geeked out. We were at each other's houses, like constantly songwriting, constantly mixing stuff, like learning about less stuff. Heaps of videos. Yeah. I don't know which one you're talking about, but which one?
Plate Man?
No, that was at PIC. That was at the photography school.
Right.
Yeah.
If I can find that on YouTube, I'm overlaying it right now.
It's on there. The Adventures of Ringtone Guy and Plate Man. Don't watch it. You'll hate yourself. You'll hate me. Don't do it.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Funny story about that is at the end of that year, they did a big, like, they hired out, what's that place in the city in Fed Square, that movie cinema? Amy Amex, or what is it? Anyway, that big one that's in Fed Square, where they have like the museum is and stuff like that. They hired out the cinema there, and they did a screening night of all the movies. They didn't even show that movie. They showed the trailer of it, and everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like that was the one that everyone had wanted to see, and they only showed the trailer. It's like, fuck you guys.
Oh man, maybe it's time to release it and give the audience what they want.
It's everywhere. Anyway,
You need to. Anyway,
I'm not bitter. I'm not. I swear. Anyway, I can't remember what I was talking about.
sorry. So yeah,
Trav.
So this is the pinnacle moment. Another pinnacle moment.
Yeah,
which started,
exactly. Yeah, Travi and me were just going hard, like just.
So on the music related, or like, did you get more into like sort of like get like booking shows?
Yeah, all that. I mean, I'd been playing in bands, playing live for years by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Started like, I didn't do any of the bookings for Rumor Has It, which was the band with Matty Zoll. I was in a few bands with Matt, and one of them was Jack Smash. That was kind of where I started to get involved in the business side of, booking gigs and organising stuff. Spin Set was where it was like, we dialed in on all that stuff, but we all worked really well together. Like me, especially when Bassie joined the band, me, Trav and Bassie were like really on. Shout out to Bassie, who some of you will know plays in a band called Between You and Me, another band called Bukowski. Killing it. Love you, bro. So we all locked in. We just like went hard. We did really well. We like played with some international bands. We also did a thing where we played gigs at high schools. So we would call up and we would like organize the gig. We would say, we will bring everything. We'll bring the whole production to the school. You don't have to lift a finger. All you have to do is tell the kids that we're going to be there, and we'll set up, we'll play. And yeah, as long as you're cool with that, we can do that. It'll be a bit of entertainment for the kids. So we did that like in their lunchtime. We did that even after I quit the band. They still kept doing it, and I would mix for them. And so about 30 or so gigs across all the different schools in Victoria and stuff. So that was really cool. Just kind of all sorts of stuff with Spin Set. We did heaps of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You just trying a whole bunch of new shit.
Yeah.
Just like experiencing.
Yeah.
Just like we're going to get to, but the more you fuck around, the more you find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then, and then I guess the Spin Set. What was the?
Yeah, so I left the Spin Set in 2013, and I was playing in other bands as well. Another band that was first of all called Colour Kids, and then the Sun Sleepers, and then I joined the Playbook after I'd left the Spin Set, and the Playbook, and then I quit the Sun Sleepers. I was still in the Playbook. I was in the Playbook for the longest time of any band that I've been in. Joined them in 2014 after they hired me to produce their EP, their second EP. And the Playbook was the most successful band that I've been in. We got to play, we did heaps of touring, like all around Australia, every single state except for the Northern Territory. We played with heaps of really cool international bands like Story So Far, Man Overboard, Real Friends, Neck Deep, like heaps of big names in the pop punk scene. That was awesome. Some of the best times in my life in that band, just like touring. If you've experienced touring, it's so fun. It's tiring as hell and it's hard, and it'll test your friendships. But man, so much fun. Like character building for sure. So that was good. Yeah, love that. And again, just taught me so much about the music industry. Just like, it's almost like everything. I'm very much a person that learns upon reflection of like events. So, I feel like these points in my life, like being in all these different bands, they all taught me different things. But most of the time I've learnt a lot after I've finished it and been away from it for some time, and I can think back on it and go
process it.
Yeah. And just, and it's not even like I sit there and do it. It's just like, I'm actually just understanding things as I keep going, and I go, oh yeah, that happened when I was in that band or whatever.
Do you think it's a reaction? Like, because I agree. And the only way that I can notice it is the way that I reflect on how I moved in a certain situation. And I can be like, oh, that skill originated from, A.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I think like it's just like anything. The more that you see it, the more you understand it. And you can't know that you're going to keep seeing this thing unless you're kind of really open to taking everything in. That's a hard skill to build. Like, it's really hard to be aware. And I don't think I'm very good at it still. Like, I'm someone that is very in the moment, happy to go with things. But again, I think I learn once I've really kind of evaluated it for quite a long time. Like, when I'm in the moment of something, I don't really know what's actually happening. I'm just going with it, going with my best, going with my gut, trying to make the best decisions that I can in the time. But then, later I can be like, oh yeah, that was a good decision, or that we probably could have done that better, or something like that. That's probably like most people, but I don't know.
I mean, like, do you think that could have originated from just going with your gut when it's like, hey, I'm in this band, whichever band you were in at the time, and it's like, fuck yeah, let's go and play at that pub.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And you get there as one person, but at the same time, like, it's, but that gave you the one, you could load in, load out, dealing with the manager, like all of these other skill sets, regardless of playing to a crowd, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, everything else that's built around it.
Yeah, man. Some funny stories about like dealing with different people at pubs, like a couple that are really funny from Jack Smash, another band I was in with Matt. One of them was our first ever gig. Matt went up to the guys behind the bar who actually owned the venue as well. The worst venue, it's called the Barley Corner. It doesn't exist anymore, so I can talk as much shit as I want. It was terrible. It was on Johnson Street. The owners just had no idea. And the male owner of the two, he was also the sound guy, and he was a dick. And so Matty goes up to the people at the bar. He's like, oh, what's our rider? So if you don't know, if you're in a band, you get a rider. Basically, if you perform at a venue, you're allocated a certain amount of drinks or drink cards or whatever. It's pretty much a given every time you play a gig. And the lady was like, oh, no, nothing. And then Matt's like, lady, we're bringing 100 people to your bar tonight. And she's like, I'd like to see that. She was real like standoffish about it. And Matt's like, cool. All right. Well, when it happens, I'm going to come back and you're going to give me how much? 20 free beers? Like, he's such a good negotiator, Matty. So like, yeah, it was really funny. And then, she ate her words. And so that was a really funny one. And then another one at the same venue was, we played this Christmas show. It was on a Sunday. It was full of punk bands. So like not like well-known punk bands, just like trashy street punk bands. And we were like the odd band out because we kind of played like emo punk. And we were on at like 1:30 or something, and there was like two bands before us. The band before us was still playing, or they'd just finished, or they were about to play. That's right, because I was restringing my guitar. And the guy comes up to me and he's like, where's your band? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. We're not due to get on stage for another half an hour or so. And he's like, well, fucking get them here. And I was like, sweet. Like, we're not even what are you talking about? Worry about the other band.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then he cracked it, and he was like, and I was like, well, they're out getting lunch. They'll be back shortly. He's like, oh fuck, I turned down getting paid $50 an hour at the airport for this shit. And I was like, well, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah, man. That was your decision.
Yeah. Why you and back then $50 an hour was quite a lot.
Yeah.
This is 2007. And I was also like what you're to expect at your pub. It's your pub.
Yeah,
like,
man.
So yeah, just dealing with people like that, and just dealing with like certain sound dudes that are jaded and hate their life and stuff. Like, yeah, you learn heaps from that. Yeah.
So the foundation of your love for music we've established. So is there any point between the playbook, because it was your last band? Yep.
Pretty much. I had another solo band, Repeat Script. We only played 2 gigs. I released a whole bunch of music, but it was nothing like the other bands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So transitioning, or like, are we sort of working on the side to fund this lifestyle, to make sure, because, was the intention, I think the answer is a bit rhetorical, but like, was the intention to like, we're going to blow up, and be like the big thing ever? Or was it kind of like, I just love fucking music, and the more that I play for the love, the bigger that we get?
Yeah.
And was there a point where you kind of like, you know, in the band, you're like, all right, cool. Like, you know, now I want to move into the direction that you are in now. Like how did that all unfold?
So I did production and mixing as a side thing, as like a side hustle, I guess you'd call it.
Out of your bedroom, out of a studio?
Yeah, bedroom, kind of where I also had a portable setup that I would just take to rehearsal rooms or wherever and just kind of set up in people's houses, you know, and I would do that on the side. So I started doing that in probably about 2012 or 2013 after I finished at TAFE and kept doing it, but never really did not have any business sense about me, didn't take it seriously or anything. Definitely playing music was where I put all of my energy. The recording and stuff was really enjoyable and it was fun, but it was never like, I want to do this all the time. Like I was still in the live music thing and being an artist. That was front of mind for me. And I worked retail. Like I worked retail all the way up until I got hired at Marshall Street in 2019. I worked in retail my whole life. So that was where I was getting my income from. Yeah, I was getting paid for doing the production jobs, but it wasn't like this is allowing me to live.
Yeah.
It was just like more money. So I was working full-time, working part-time while I studied and then full-time from 2012 up until 2019, working in different, like mostly Liquorland and then Apple. So yeah.
Did you see it as a viable career path? Or was it again just kind of like, hey man, I'm in a band, I'm playing music, it's fundamental that I'm able to like record and mix and do all my own shit. Fuck man, like you know, someone's gonna pay me $100 to like come and to the garage and do it. Why not?
I was trying to take it seriously without the knowledge of what it takes to take it seriously. Yeah. I would track hours and everything, and I would have an hourly rate and this and that, and I would, have decent, like okay business structure without actually knowing what I was doing. Like I was trying, but not knowing what are the best practices and stuff like that. But what I actually didn't answer before was like with the band, we knew we had potential, but again, we didn't put in the effort required to make it a successful career. Like we didn't know what the business side of things looked like. None of us stepped up and tried to understand that world. Like we didn't like go on YouTube and try and be like, how do you create a successful band or anything? Like none of us did that. We were just kind of going with it. The benefits of like Jamie in the Playbook was really great at networking, and he also did a lot of the bookings at the start, and I was good at production, and we were a really good live band. So I think the combination of that got us to a point where, yes, we were able to tour, we were able to support some good international bands because we put on a good live show, and people were our friends would come to shows as well. So I think we had that side of it down pat, but in terms of like managing finances, actually putting effort into dedicating hours into social media, none of it. So yeah, same thing with the production. There was no knowledge of like how to market myself or anything. It was just like, hey, you play music? Can I record your band? Like I'm really passionate about it. I've got this set up. I'll come to your house. I'll do all this. People were like, yeah, sick. Awesome. Yeah.
I find it like, I think it's going to be a reoccurring like tale story of this is how like we got into where we are right now.
Yeah.
Like everyone
just going with it.
Fucking oath. And then at some point, someone like, it's either you get paid like a substantial amount of money, like more than you would have gotten paid at Liquorland for a whole week's worth of, and you're like, well, hold on.
I could do this.
Or someone like, they see your skill set and go, fuck yeah, man, you're worth that much. And then you're kind of like, oh, well, let's give this a red hot crack. And like,
yeah, I never had problems with self-confidence about my abilities. That's one thing that I feel pretty good about myself about. Like I've always felt like I'm good at what I do. Even when I wasn't that good at what I did, I was like, yeah, no, I like what I'm doing, and I know that I'm passionate about it. I know that I love it. I know that I want to get a good result out of it. But yeah, and when people are willing to pay you for something and return as customers, that is a sign that you're good at what you do.
Yep.
And you're doing stuff right. Like, you might not be doing it all right, but you know, you're doing something right because people want to keep working with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is a point where it transitions. For me, it was when I got hired, when Marshall offered me the job at Marshall Street. That was a massive turning point for me. It was like you're willing to hire me to do this full time. Amazing. At the drop of a hat. Yes.
Opportunity.
Yes. And I never looked back, and I never had any regrets about doing that, because, you know, I'm still here, still doing it. And I learnt so much from, you know, helping that startup business. Like we were just kind of trying everything and learning lots at the same time. It was sick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was also the first time we met each other.
Yeah, I know.
It's where the friendship blossomed.
I know. So again.
All right, now so this is probably like the exciting part, because I want to talk about how you're developing, you know, firstly, the transition into this
freelance
world of how you're making an income now. You've got a family, 2 children.
Yeah.
You know, how are you developing your mindset? You know, all the things that were not necessarily neglected, but kind of like, nah, man, we're gonna fucking make it, because we're the fucking rock stars of Melbourne, man. Like that song.
Yeah, why should
that
we?
song? Yeah, man, I wrote it in my bathroom. It's gonna.
I got played on Triple J.
Triple J, yeah, man. 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start unpacking that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think I just didn't. It has to have. It definitely not started, but like blossomed like tenfold by working at Marshall Street, and, you know, us doing all the social media and like trying to get attention on that business. It was just like, it opened a new world of like understanding and like, okay, here's how you market. It's unashamed. Push yourself in front of people. Like, just do whatever you can to get in front of people's eyes. We were organizing events. We were bringing people in for free interviews. We were offering all this free shit. We were doing like all of this stuff that you need to do when you first start a business. I'd never even thought of, like, I might have thought of it, but not known that you could actually do it. And so, yeah, I think that was massive, like learning all of that stuff and putting that into action and seeing the results of it, like, and seeing it's not immediate. It's something that you have to build over a really long period of time before you actually start to see any fruit from that tree, you know? Like, this rain is fucking going hectic. I don't know if you can hear it in the audio. I'm not supposed to point out this as a professional podcast, but, you know, it is going up.
It is,
So yeah, that was huge, and it really taught me when I made the transition into freelance, which was a year and a half after I'd been working at Marshall Street, and coincided with being in COVID as well, lockdowns. It was like this period of like, all right. I mean, I was still getting the payment from the government, and so that kind of allowed me to be like, oh, cool, I can pay my bills. It's all sweet. And I was, you know, getting random mixing jobs here and there. But as soon as like the last lockdown lifted, it was like, we're fucking on here.
Yeah.
We are on. And you were still in Vietnam. No, you weren't. You were here for the last lockdown.
For the last lockdown, it was. Yeah.
So the middle lockdown was a funny one. When the middle one lifted, because people were still scared. People were still scared to do stuff. It was like, there was still the fear going on in the media and stuff. It was like, you can't do anything. You can't try not to see people. Limit the amount of people.
Get into anything.
So people didn't it felt a bit rogue to do shit.
Yeah.
So we still had jobs, like recording jobs and stuff like that, but it was kind of like a little bit like, a bit sketchy. But when the second one lifted, it's like, it's on.
Yeah.
And so that from then it was all guns blazing. And just constantly since then, just constant like journey of learning, like non-stop learning of all the business stuff, networking, marketing, social media. Like I feed myself that shit just all the time, like every spare moment, like as much so that like when I'm doing my job of like drum editing, for example, this is real niche, but drum editing is like where you cut up the drums and make sure you line it to the grid and stuff, like make sure each hit is in time, blah, blah, blah. When I'm doing that, I'm listening to business podcasts. I'm listening to like, it's like, give me it.
Same thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Editing.
Yeah.
I feel like, we've developed this skill, music, videography.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like you're on autopilot when you do like the mundane shit.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like especially for the photo
You can
editing.
do it just by sight.
And whenever I can get a chance, like we were just speaking before about Hamosi, and I'm like, no, I need to sit down. Like Gary Vee, you need to sit down and digest.
Yeah.
But I love like the podcasts or the YouTube videos or, whoever it is.
Whatever it is.
Because it's kind of like, I really feel that your subconscious is it is working in the background, yeah? And just like we were speaking about before, only till you can look back and go, fuck, man, that's, okay, I was listening to that guy or, I'm only asking these questions because, I studied how to run a podcast for a week.
Yeah.
Did I really listen to it? And I'm like, so...
Yeah. And like when you try and put it into practice and, the first few times are terrible and you do some of it right and you're like, why doesn't it look like theirs does? And then you unpack more and then you go down rabbit holes and you just keep stacking all of this knowledge on top of it. And even so much so today, someone was hiring my room. So I was just working at my parents' house and doing planning documents and stuff like that. And I was going through my Google Drive and just like organizing it and opening up old documents and seeing where I was at back then. I was like, oh yeah, like, okay. I hadn't figured it out yet.
Journaling?
Journaling's a huge one. Yeah. I've been journaling consistently for 1.5 years now. And I do that 5 minutes in the morning as soon as I get to work. If I don't have a client, I'll do it 5 minutes in the morning as soon as I get to work and, just write whatever's on my mind for 5 minutes and then after a month I put it into ChatGPT and get it to summarize it for me. And then I can like evaluate, that's what happened this month. Oh, that happened this month? Holy crap, that felt like ages ago. You know what I mean? Like, and so then, you've got these summaries and then you can, if you want to, you can go back to March last year and see what was going on then and whatever else. Yeah.
I think it's so important, like doing that. And Matt was saying like he's journaling as well, and it is, even though that, it's hard to evaluate like your stat meter on you being grateful. What are you grateful for today? How are you feeling? Scale of 1 to 10, like all of these like self, apps, and you kind of use them for a week and you're like, it's a waste of time.
It doesn't give you the feedback you want.
Yeah. Or you don't see the results.
Yeah.
I think anything self-development is hard. But one thing that I love about journaling is that like how did I was a month ago on this date, or more importantly, a year. I think, gap and gain. Yeah. Like being able to see your trajectory, being able to see what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
Because I think anyone starting out this road, it's so hard to define how fucking hard it is.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
But hard in really weird ways.
Okay, so I was talking to my mate Claudio today.
Yeah.
And he was like, how is everything? We hadn't spoken for a long time.
Yeah.
And I messaged him and I was like, bro, it's fucking awesome. I literally, and it's fucking awesome because of all the peaks, of all the troughs, of all the highs, it's like the crypto market, Fucking we're up, and then bam, you're down again, and you're like, what the fuck happened to,
I know. And you didn't change anything really.
No,
but you did.
Apparently, or do you look at it and you go, oh, I just elevated to the next level. Like, tell me about how, like the stepping stones, Like if you started, so you freelanced 2019, and then like, you trialed and error, all of these different things. You picked up all the skills, opening the studios, and then it's kind of like, all right, cool. I've got this fucking backpack full of ideas.
Yeah.
Let's go and test into the world.
Yeah.
Because you are now where you are.
Yeah.
But it was only because trial and error,
Yeah.
you know, throwing shit at a wall, seeing if it sticks. And also you did all like predominantly all yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, how do you summarize it? I don't know if I can summarize it like.
I don't think it's summary. I think it's more, where what we could pick apart is the milestones. Because for me, when I reflect back on moments and I'm like, you know, it just continues to strengthen the drive to continue. And not only it's kind of like, you know, like I can afford to live, especially now in this, you know, economy. It's getting harder, and especially for creatives. And to, you know, I want to let you talk. But
well, what sprang to mind straight away is that you mentioned it before, is that having a family. That was another huge shift for me, is like being able to know that I can, you know, that my family can operate and not suffer from, you know, my unreliable income. And so then you do things like you put budgets in place, or you, like for me specifically, it was like setting up specific spreadsheets that automatically digest, okay, say I earned this much this week, where does all that money need to go? Which different accounts do I need to put that in, so that I know that if I have a car service coming up, that I don't have to dip into savings and stuff. So setting up things like that, pretty early on, they have evolved, but having those sorts of spreadsheets, or even just systems in place from an early point in my, you know, freelance journey was really, really helpful. And because finances are just such a big stress. They're like, it is the biggest stress that seemingly is hard to control unless you have a reliable system in place. That means that you can then go, no, I can actually be at ease, trusting that I have this system that works it out for me, and that I'm doing the right thing to provide for myself, for my family, for whatever else might come, for the unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, it's so those are really important things for me to have put into place. And yeah, like the milestone thing, I don't really see milestones. I don't really have them as like along the journey. I'm sure there will be, again, upon the reflection, I'll probably will have these points where I'm like, that was a key thing that happened. But for me, as long as I've got happy clients, as long as I'm still progressing and doing new things and upskilling, and that to me is more important than having clear milestones that happen of like, oh, you know, I mean, I haven't won any awards or anything like that. So there hasn't been that sort of thing that I can reflect on. Oh, that was really cool. But from what I've heard, that doesn't really change much anyway. So for me, it's more that I'm just able to keep doing what I'm doing and not quitting, you know?
That's, you took the words out of my mouth. I think, you know, because, you know, discipline and consistency and the goals will be achieved.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, I'm glad that you said that, because it just, I think, you know, it's always like it's just around the corner, you know? And like, you know, that self-doubt and that like, you know, how did you get through those times where you kind of like, man, you know, we sat down with Deb and you're like, when do is there a line?
Yeah.
If we go, So how did you do that?
You have to set that stuff up. There has to be like, you know, one of the things for us is like, do you need to get a second job? Do you need to get a source of reliable income as well as what you're doing now? If so, when and what and how? Like, because it's really hard for me because, you know, as you'd know, once you're a freelancer, and for anyone else that is living the same life, like once you've done it, it's really like, you don't want to go back. You don't want to work for someone else. You know, if you do want to work for someone else, it has to be someone that you really like and really love what they're doing. And the only other job that I've had to do was pick up like a little bar job at my at a cricket club that my parents were working at, and it was like 4 hours a week, and you know, it was just a little bit of extra like per week. So stuff like that, you just have to have those conversations. I think communication, if you've got a partner, any sort of partnership, any relationship that you have, communication is number one. To be able to have really honest conversations with people, set expectations with them. This is what I expect of you. I hope you have expectations of me. If I'm not meeting it, I need you to tell me. I need to know when I'm not meeting the friendship standard or whatever it might be. And I'm going to tell you, because otherwise it's going to fall apart. And friendships have fallen apart. Relationships have fallen apart. And it's because of lack of communication. And so for me, it's like if at least that person knows what I expect and then it falls apart, I've done my bit to let them know what I wanted.
Yeah.
And if they haven't met it or whatever, then they know. Mm-hmm. I told them. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't. So same thing in reverse. If I didn't have those conversations with Deb and my, anyone, an employer or anything like that, a client, like if I haven't had those conversations, haven't set those expectations, then things are likely to fall apart because people are guessing. Everyone's guessing. Oh, is he thinking this? Is he thinking that? Like, have I done what I needed to? Like, yep. So many unknowns unless you talk about it.
Yep.
So yeah, for me, that's huge. That's really, really big. Yep. Yeah.
Starting the podcast, what initiated that? Why did you why did you take, because like firstly, you're now stripping away time to get put into like go to the cricket club or fucking get a second job, Now you're like you've taken on more work, unpaid, that's taken you away, and you've had to reallocate your time so that your family time isn't impacted. You're waking up earlier, because I know you go to the gym.
If I go to the gym, I have to go at 5:30 in the morning. Yep. Because there's no other time. Yep. I don't want to go at night. That's my relaxing time. Mm-hmm. That's my time with family. Yep. That's my time with Deb. So if I want to go to the gym, I have to wake up at 5 and go first thing in the morning. Podcast was kind of like I hit this point where I was trying to do social media stuff and none of it really worked. No, I didn't really feel that passionate about creating tutorials or sitting in front of a camera and talking to it, and I had this thought of like, I had done podcasts, we'd done the Marshall Street podcast. I'd done a comedy podcast with my mate. I loved that. And I was like, this is a really enjoyable kind of type of social media, type of content. And I was like, okay, this will allow me to build relationships by talking with people that I haven't met before or I have and I don't know that much about them that I can uncover. I'm sure you can relate to this. The second thing is it's an original piece of content. When you're thinking of people that create tutorials or give advice on camera and stuff like that, there are seemingly now hundreds of those types of people, even in your niche. So I'm like, well, if I'm having a podcast, I'm having a conversation with someone that no one else has had before. And I'm understanding about that person, cutting it down into shorts like you do. It's something original that doesn't exist anywhere else and I'm niching down. I'm talking to people that are producers and engineers, songwriters from Australia. It was just like, I don't know of any, I'm sure they exist, but I don't know of any that is like at the forefront of that, so that was the mindset there. Yeah.
I think one thing you said then, networking. I never networked. Yeah. When growing up in networking, I was just kind of like, I remember when I was working for Dad and we'd go to trade shows. Yeah. And he'd be like, all right, go and talk with other dealers and shit. I'd be like, why? Yeah. What do you want me to go 100%. And say? I'm like, hey, my name's Michael. I'm from Australia. Like, what do you do? Exactly. But sorry. Yeah. But now, like Andrew, the guy that came and filmed the BTS, like I was saying, I met him at a drag, at the drag racing, and you just went up and said hi, and now we're fucking like good mates because we share an interest. Our interest.
That's the thing, I think.
Yeah, and it's like I can't. It's like another thing to explain to someone. It's like once you experience it and you feel that that intense like reward of one, making a new friend. 2, meeting new people, like you were saying.
And talking about interests that you love, Yeah.
Not only that, you've filled your cup.
Yeah.
And it's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? It's that term, networking, that gets thrown around. And if you're uninitiated or you don't understand the purpose of it and like why it benefits you, like the points that you just said, it seems like it's a forced thing. It seems like it's this thing that you should do, but you're not sure why.
So or not how.
Not how as well, yeah. You know, and there are techniques to it, but at the end of the day, it's the core of it is about just building a connection with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, do that in the easiest way possible. Just have a conversation. Ask them about what they like. Ask them about their life. Like, just find out more about that's the start of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
people like to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And the more that you can figure out someone, the better, you know, one, you can figure out what you want to talk about. You got like interests and whatnot. Like you're coming back to your podcast. It's like the development of that, other than, you know, refining a new skill, you know, having the ability to, you know, jump on podcasts and interact with individuals that you've only either researched or watched another podcast.
Yeah.
Like where
or just heard about or just seen on social media. Like I've made friendships from this podcast, from what's that sound? Like it's awesome. Like I've got people that I now call friends because of it. And when it comes to business, like networking in a business sense, there are things that you can do. And I heard a good one is like, how do I know who is the right person to refer to you? I think that's a good conversation. Like however you want to put it, that is a good way to bring business into the networking. And that's a really simple one. It's like, how do I know if someone tells me that they're a concreter, then I know that I can refer them to you and you can create some cool videos for them. Like, how do I know who is the right person to refer to? I think that's just such a cool way to unlock an extra conversation that then makes it more business focused. So, you know, at the start when you're just starting the relationship, it's like, cool, I'm getting to know this person. I'm seeing if we connect, see if we click. But then you can take it that step further and you can do that in the first conversation. Yeah.
I think, you know, podcasts are fun, especially when they're one-on-one, because it's kind of like, let's just get straight into it.
It's just talk,
you know, and it's kind of like, you know, not that I want to speed through the backstory because I'm, you know, the importance of like what I want to structure the series around is like, you know, where I guess it's like, sidebar. Ben was like, bro, I heard that if you forgot what you were saying, you should just repeat out loud, golf. What? And I had a brief moment of a pause situation, and I after he told me this, and I was like, golf. I'm like, now I'm just saying golf.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I don't know.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Love
Ben.
And he was such a Anyway, I love Ben. Thanks for coming on, Ben. Bringing it back to the relationship of, you know, trying something new.
Yeah.
You know, thinking that it's the wrong idea, like this podcast. Yeah. Like I've spoken about this for so long and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like what we said before, you let your ego get in your way.
Yeah.
And I'm so, you know, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just, you know, like I'm taking that relationship that I had with the camera and doing chickpea review Thursdays.
Do you know what it is? It's bringing the fun into it. I think that's so important for anyone that thinks social media isn't for them or creating content isn't for them. It's like, make it fun then. Make it as fun as possible and whatever that means to you. And for us right now, it's having this conversation. This is fun for us.
Being original.
Yeah. Being original.
Tom Lusky.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
No.
Mornington kid, yeah?
Okay.
Super successful, young.
Yeah.
But all he preaches, it's just like, make the content that you want to make.
Yeah.
Have the conversations that you want to have.
Exactly.
You're not going to resonate with everybody, but
some people will get something from it.
100%.
Yeah. And I think, like you just, like we keep saying, me and Clack say this all the time. You just don't know what's going to happen. You cannot predict what life is going to throw at you. You can't predict what's going to pop up. You can't predict who's going to appear. You can't predict what's going to happen in the world. You cannot predict any of that stuff. What you can do though is like really try to enjoy what you do. Try and focus on what you love doing and make it your career. Try and make some money off it, because then you're happy. Then everything just feels at ease and you're enjoying your life. And so that relates to the content thing. Like I just had this revelation, like this epiphany. And it was just like, man, just make it fun. So I've just started like doing like album rankings of my favorite bands. It's like, I don't know if people are like that. We'll see. Mm-hmm. And you get some comments on it. It's a good time. Like, it's like, I would rather be doing that. Yeah, there's strategy to, social media or marketing and stuff like that. But why not throw in some of the fun stuff too? Because you just never know.
Yep.
So it's like, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. Have a good time. See what happens. Someone will resonate. You never know. Like, some of the most famous, podcasters or, YouTubers or anything like that would have started because it was fun to them to chuck a camera up and go and do so. Jackass, probably just a...
Hey, film this, Steve-O.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off this building, bro. Here's a handicap.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add it to my circus.
And that's their life. That dictated the rest of their life for all those people on Jackass.
I think, yeah, to like just finish off on that, it's like, I will never look back and when we're 20 years from now and go, man, I'm so upset that I didn't try that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We just did it. Yeah.
Like, it's not,
yeah.
You do you.
The other side of that, sorry to cut you off, the other side of that is we won't look back and go, oh man, I hate that I posted that one bit of content. Who's going to think that?
No.
No one. And you're not going to remember the shit that you didn't like doing. You're going to remember the stuff that you loved.
I like when a lot
unless you did it too much. Sorry.
I like it's like you really get beaten. I like the Gary V's and the Hermosis and all that. It's kind of like, don't be too scared about being authentic because in relation to people remembering, we don't. We think that it's going to exist forever. Like, I mean, some obviously don't do the wrong things, but try. Yeah. The worst part, looking back, it was never, and like you were saying, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. It was never a bad decision. Like where we are right now is because of the decisions that we made. Yeah. And guess what? If you didn't go, fuck yeah, I love music, I like playing, where would we be? We maybe not friends.
I know.
And it's like how I love multi-universes and space and like all that other jam. There's a hypothetical world out there where you're living the alternative life of all the decisions that you decided, that
to make.
Yes and no, blah, blah, blah. But
I feel like we're in a good one.
I fucking love it. Like going back to, how you're feeling now, all the relationships that you've had with your growth, your ups and downs, like just elaborate on those emotions and how you feel right now that.
Yeah. Oh, life's awesome, man. Like, I couldn't be happier. Honestly, like, there's been challenges, but, man, like, I'm doing what I love for my job. Like, you can't beat it. You can't beat that. And, having a partner that understands what I do and allows me the space to do what I do. I'm like so grateful for that,
Shout out.
Love you. And it's man, what can I say? Like just staying open. I think it's really, really, really important to me to stay open to experiences, to stay open to new relationships, to stay open to whatever could happen, and try not to shut things down. Like you can operate out of fear, and you can think that something's not going to work, and so therefore you go, I'm not going to do it. And this is the inverse of what we were saying before. But when you stay open to possibilities and stay open to things happening, and really hone in on the things that you enjoy doing and people that you love being around and people that actually feed your soul and like make you happy and encourage you to be your best, that's where you win, man. Like, and that's where I am. So yeah. fucking loving life.
That's beautiful. I love that. I'd like to end things by asking you to look down the camera and what you just said in terms of talking to, someone else out there, like we were spoken about, of sitting in their room and or not taking that opportunity to pick up a drumstick, or, being embarrassed because they like to play fucking punk rock music, like the NoFX book. Just be yourself, man.
Yeah.
Talk to a younger self. Talk to someone down there, man. What would you want to say?
Just do it, man. Like you got to get out there, and you need to trust that you are a good person. Don't be a dick. Focus on being a good person. Focus on helping your instincts get bigger and better. Focus on your love, your passion, and just go for it. I think that is it's going to dictate the rest of your life. So why not focus on the good thing? Yeah.
You do you. Love you, bro. Yeah, Thank you very much, man. That was amazing.
That was sick.